Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back to many of you, and it's a pleasure hosting again. Thanks for thinking of us there, Bill. So just real briefly, an overview of the electric utility and some of the new things we're doing, since perhaps you attended the last meeting here. So a little fast facts here. Founded over 110 years ago, we serve 16,000 consumers. Our average residential rate's about 11 cents per kilowatt hour. Kilowatt hours sold approaching 500,000 megawatt hours. Total electric sales, annual sales is 48 million, so we're approaching 50 million. Fast peak demand 113.3 megawatts. 44 staff members who hold it all together. There they are, all pictured around the bucket truck and our flagpole, as it turns out. Here's a map of our service area. 12.6 square miles, a little bit of service to entities outside of Westerville, not much. By law, we're only allowed to do, I think, 50% of our native load. We'll never get to that in Westerville. As far as expansion goes, not likely to happen. We've got a lot of infill, a lot of development going on in this area of town. That was a 1,000-acre annexation back in '95, and if you came up to Cleveland Avenue or over on Polaris Parkway, that's all greenfield development that is a steady growth and continues to grow, and we enjoy good development there in Westerville. So good, steady, managed growth. As I said, 12.5 square miles. Miles of electric lines, mostly underground, 285. Street lights, 4,000. So we provide street lighting at no charge to our to the city. It is embedded in our rates, so everybody's socializing. It's socialized in our rates, and as you can see from our rate, really it's not much of an impact overall. Substation 6, so we're compact, but we have good good reliability, good redundancy. You can see the number of poles, transformers. The system value, if it were wiped out today and we had to replace it, $76 million. Hopefully that won't happen. Just to put it in perspective, as far as our size, we're actually one of the bigger municipal systems across the country. Most of the 2,000 or so are 1 to 2,000 meters. So we're in this category here. We mentioned, the investor-owned utilities, a little bit different business model. Customer service is kind of on the lower end of the priority. No offense to anybody from AEP in the room, but this is the truth. I mean, it's a fact. Share price appreciation, return on equity, those are king in their world. As far as we're concerned, local control, city council governance, local ownership. That is the consumers own our utility, and that's the case as well in rural electric cooperatives. Service convenience, reliability, of course price. Our rates are very competitive. In terms of rates, this is kind of how the equation works out. Most of our costs are comprised of power supply, 76%. So system maintenance, capital outlay, and we do spend a lot of money on capital improvements every year. Street lighting, underground and overhead replacements, and so on. Purchase power is the lion's share of our costs, and this has been historically the cost curve since 2002, and this is in millions. Right, in millions. So back in the good old days, it was about $13 million a year to buy power. It's 3 cents per kilowatt hour. It didn't matter what time of day, what time of year. It was always 3 cents. Then deregulation was introduced and customer choice, and all hell broke loose. And so in essence, the cost of electricity has tripled since that time. We've enjoyed a softer economy, which has allowed us to secure power at a lower cost. For the first time in a long time, we're seeing a reduction in the power supply cost.
What's the percentage of that line? Like, what's the annual increase?
The curve, the line is, the equation is like 88%. So it's got a slope of 1.88.
How much is it increasing per year on average?
I'd say it's 10 or 12% per year. Yeah.
Okay.
On average.
That's a wholesale rate of electricity.
Say again?
The wholesale rate of electricity.
That is reflective of our wholesale costs, and our cost today is roughly around $67 per megawatt hour. Energy only, add another $10 for transmission capacity. So it's getting up there. Yeah. But in terms of rates, we're pretty competitive with our neighboring investor owns. This is Ohio. They're calling them Ohio Power now, right? Instead of calling them Southern Power. This is the AEP nearby. This is where we are. So we're doing pretty well. This is the breakup by customer class. Lion's share of our load is commercial, industrial, residential being about 40%. Reliability is very good in Westerville. We have a small footprint, so we're quick to respond. We got on-duty personnel 24 hours a day. This is reflective of our customer average interruption duration index. So we're looking at minutes here, years on the bottom. We've been tracking these statistics for a long time. And this is including major events. So you can see a major event in 2003, a major event in 2008, a major event in 2012. Okay, so this one was a summer storm in July. What do you think this one was?
Icons.
Hurricane Ike, yeah.
Hurricane Ike. What do you think this one was?
The raid show. Right?
Yeah. Take those away, and that's what our average interruption duration index looks like. So we're talking about somewhere around 60 minutes a year, which is pretty good when you talk to the investor-owns or the rural electric brethren. They're talking hours, relatively speaking. It's just a function of the service size. So,
Andy,
yes.
those damage that was done by those natural events, did you did you have insurance to cover the cost, or are you trying to get the people in Westerville to pay for that?
We're self-insured.
Yeah, but does it reflect in the customer bill, or does you collect from insurance?
Ultimately, it does. I mean, everything we do passes through in some way, shape, or form, but we didn't go back and say, hey, we need more money. We did apply for and receive FEMA funding to some extent, not a lot, but when we have a disaster like this, all the city departments pull together their costs associated with response, and we seek reimbursement from FEMA. So we get reimbursement for overtime costs. Yes?
Was most of that interruption because of the lack of power being supplied by AEP, or was it internal lines?
No, there was a brief outage on transmission, but not very long.
Okay.
So no, the transmission system was pretty solid, remarkably, during that period, even with all that activity over there in Hannah. Yeah, we had 80% of our customers were out at 5 o'clock on Friday, that Friday afternoon, and by 11 or 12 we had, I'd say, 90% of the outage customers back in service, and then we worked for the remainder of the weekend to get the rest of them on.
Is that an incentive to put more underground? I mean, to decrease these?
Not really. It does help. You know, when by and large the area up in the northwest remained on, so that's where everybody goes out to eat. But yeah, it's not, everything emanates ultimately from an overhead facility, so undergrounding doesn't necessarily help. When they say, let's see, the earth is your friend, the sky will kill you. Anyway, so new programs. You've heard about our commercial advanced metering program. That's advanced metering enabling, well, we've installed a communication infrastructure overlaying our grid in the city that allows us to communicate to meters and endpoints, both for electric and water. And we've deployed to most of our commercial industrial sector. We're taking residential volunteers as we speak. So deploying, it's going to be a slower process, probably over the next 2 or 3 years we'll get that done. You, I'm sure, have heard about the residential appliance recycling program. You know, we like energy efficiency, but it does cost money. It translates into rate increases for customers, so our council is very cognizant of adding more costs that will ultimately be passed on to customers. So this is not a huge program, but it's a nice piece, and we've had good participation by customers. Since inception, probably 500 units have been recycled. Commercial Industrial Energy Saving Rebate Program. This is analogous to AEP's custom program. Our funding is limited here. This year we had $200,000 available for incentive funding for energy efficiency improvements at the commercial industrial sector. Anyone above 500,000 kilowatt hours a year would be eligible. We had our first solicitation in April. We've recommended some awards. Roush Honda was an award recipient for replacement of their lighting system to induction lighting in their showroom. And Worthington Cylinder is doing an air compressor replacement, sizable CapEx on that, an incentive award up to $102,000 for that project that will be completed this fall. So we're making some inroads there. This is a very positive program. Council likes it. I think we'll be seeing expansion of that program going forward. Energy efficiency, the cheapest form of electric capacity for us, so we like it. A residential energy efficiency pilot with Columbia Gas, much like what AEP is doing, where you perform an audit and then we follow with on their coattails essentially with direct installs and CFLs and things like that. And we've recently added a third-party call center service, so kind of reflecting on what happened last summer with the Dureco, our phone lines became overwhelmed, and our ability to answer the phones and get good intelligence from a phone call was hampered significantly. So we've added a third party to help us with that high volume phone response. Last summer, because we were able to get customers restored over the weekend, and many other customers, as you know, in neighboring areas were out for several days after that. The Dairy Queen put up a little appreciation for us. That was unsolicited, and that's not Photoshop. Anyway, so thank you very much. Be happy to take your questions if there's time.